Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki
Jaya.
By the English calendar, this is the day when Bhagawan attained Mahasamadhi. He became one with an infinite all-pervasive, all-powerful, all-blissful, all-peaceful, the pure awareness, and yet from the level of the divine, whether it is pure awareness or a manifestation. It matters not, it's the same. But to us, people who live in this relative world, a world which is acknowledged as the realm of Maya, but still very much true to many, many, many of us, almost all, except for a very few. This is the only reality. And we have to live it up as the reality until
Because of your hands like this.
we begin to understand slowly what it's all about, what is Maya, what is reality. It takes a long time for ordinary people like me. All the same, it is the costless grace that comes down in the form of these great souls just to uplift us from this darkness of ignorance. பகவான் மாதிரி ஒரு பெரு நிலையில் இருக்கிறவங்க பெரும் கருணையோட நம்மளை மாதிரி ஒரு உருவம் எடுத்துன்னு வந்து நம்ம கூடலாம் எளிமையாக பழகி ஒரு அன்புனா என்ன, வாட் இஸ் லவ், வாட் இஸ் ட்ரூ லவ், what is grace, to show us. They come down in a form we are able to see and enjoy, and they speak the language that we understand, because they must speak in our language. Otherwise we can never get to understand these great truths. All the time we wallow in the quagmire of this worldliness. It's only these people, they take pity on us and they come down and they reveal to us what is absolute truth and what is this Maya. They have two eyes like ours. 2 ears, a body with limbs. They eat like us, they sleep like us, and they speak our language. That is their greatness. And they are the embodiments of sacrifice. இவங்களால தான் நமக்கு தியாகம்னா என்னங்கிறதே புரிய வைக்கிறார். அன்புனா என்னங்கிறது இவங்க அன்பை பார்க்கும்போது தான் நமக்கு புரியும். நம்ம in this life we think that we love people, we show so much love. But then this love cannot be compared with their love. Their love has no motive. Our love is only an attachment with expectations. But their love is pure, and love means sacrifice. You are ready to sacrifice anything for the happiness of the loved one. This is what I saw in him from moment to moment in the years I lived with him in his close service. No matter how sick his body was, if there was any need for anybody, immediately he would jump and then walk with such energy and grace that I used to wonder, is he the man who coiled up in sickness just minutes before? I would see him in such weakness of the body, unable to even open his eyes. But then the minute there was a call from his Father, the Divine Father, just like that he would get up with that divine energy and go about helping, guiding, protecting people as per their needs. I remember when he was very, very sick, already with cancer, he still used to sit in that chair. You see the darshan chair there. He would sit, even he was staggering. He could not walk straight. One of his knees was giving him. But he would somehow manage to walk with the same majesty and sit in the chair. And I used to carry extra devotees with me. He would sit and give darshan to people. He would smoke, continue to smoke, because the smoking was his father's work. Because of the smoking, he had lost all sense of taste years before. But it was symbolic of his father's work, where all our difficulties and sufferings would go up in the smoke. And the smoke that never came out, which he absorbed into himself. And when the darshan was over, he would get up, only I would see the pool of blood. And he would say, Devaki, nobody should know how this beggar is suffering. Father's work will come to a stop. So immediately I would close it with that extra dhoti and fold it up and run after him. You can imagine what it is to go through the pain of cancer. They say it is 1,000 snakes biting at once. Yet he would not make any sound. He would suffer quietly. And I would go through one hell after the other, just watching him, unable to help in any way. And later, he did not want any allopathic treatment, but then he had to submit to the entreaties of the devotees, because the devotees believed that the allopathic treatment would keep him longer. So he submitted to the operation also. He was 83. And then we came back from Chennai hospital where the operation took place by Dr. Angabhashi. Then he never used any mattress. In fact, when he came to Sudama, he was still in dirty clothes. And the first thing that he told me, I have come to live here for Father's work. I cannot change my style of functioning. If anybody should come in its way, this beggar would leave this place. We begged to him that we were there. We told him we were there only to serve him and his work. He used to say, to stay with this beggar even for half an hour would be very difficult for people, because this beggar is very bad, very mad, very crazy sometimes and very lazy sometimes. Even this beggar doesn't know what Father would say or do through this beggar, what work Father would give. So when we were sitting around him, the atmosphere was very intense, very vibrant, very, very different. Sometimes he would sit in the same pose for 5 hours, 6 hours, and I could not move for fear of disturbing him. When we came back, they put up this mattress. That was the only time I've ever seen him lie down on a mattress. He accepted. He simply submitted his body to the people. Let them treat this body any way they like. This body belongs to people, belongs to the devotees. And when somebody would come to see him, because he had come fresh from the operation, we had this added responsibility to take care that no infection should come to him. So they had closed. And so people were allowed to see him only from outside through that window there. And the intravenous was going on. But sometimes he would move. Even while he was lying down with the eyes closed, his Father's work was going on. So he would suddenly move his hand or leg because it disturbed the arrangement, the medical arrangement there. They had to tie it up. But when the devotees came, he always knew. He had his eyes closed, and in the beginning he lifted his hand to bless, which again disturbed the other arrangements. So the doctors had to see to it that it was tied so that he wouldn't, because it would again cause pain to him. There would be swelling, and again he had to go through the pain of this being pricked. Then whenever the devotees came and stood there, he knew. He began to lift his leg, one leg up, sometimes the other leg, and again it disturbed the arrangement, so they had to do something about it. அதனால அந்த சிச்சுவேஷனில் அவர் கண்ணை மூடி படுத்துட்டு இருந்தா கூட யார் அங்கே எந்த டிவோட்டி அந்த இடத்துல நின்று பார்த்தாலும் அவருக்கு அது தெரிஞ்சுது. கையை தூக்கி ஆசீர்வாதம் பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தார். இந்த கையை இப்படி கொஞ்சம் தூக்கினா கூட அந்த இன்ட்ராவீனஸ் டிஸ்டர்ப் ஆகிறதுனால அந்த கையை கூட ரெஸ்ட்ரிக்ட் பண்ணுற மாதிரி ஆகிடுது அரேஞ்ச்மெண்ட்ஸ். அதுக்கப்புறம் காலை தூக்கி தூக்கி ப்ளஸ் பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தார். அவர் இப்படி காலை தூக்கினா நான் பார்த்தேன்னா அங்கே யாராவது நின்றுருக்கோம். Somebody would be there. If he lifted his leg, I would know. And then I would look and there would be somebody there. People came from distant places just to see him, just to have his darshan. The word was spreading like wildfire that he was bedridden. And then if somebody had special permission to see him, I would say, so and so has come for darshan. Then he would say, who is so and so? I am the cosmic controller. I alone exist. There is nothing else, no one else. I am so and so. I am that you see everything around. I alone exist. நான் தான் இந்த பிரபஞ்சத்தோடைய நாயகன். நான் மட்டும்தான் இருக்கேன், வேறு எதுவும் இல்லை, யாரும் இல்லை. யார் அது வந்திருக்கிறது என்னை பார்க்கறதுக்கு? நான் தான் அவங்க தான் நான். அந்த மாதிரி சில சமயம் டிக்ளேர் பண்ணுவேன். அதுக்கப்புறம் ஒரு பீரியடில் கம்ப்ளீட்டாக கண்ணை க்ளோஸ் பண்ணிகிட்டே இருந்தேன். அப்போ எல்லாரும் people began to say that he was in coma. இதெல்லாம் நான் எதுக்கு சொல்கிறேன்? Why I am telling you all this? People should know. You should not forget how the body sacrificed itself. All the great people do that. I always think that every great soul who is doing his father's work in some way or the other, in different styles of functioning, through different leelas, in the end, they go through some kind of crucifixion or the other. Because when we go and prostrate before them, there is an exchange. Their blessings come to us and our bad karmas go to them. There is some calculation, we don't know, we can't go into that. But there is an exchange. So they pay for our sins. They do not have mind. The mind has been destroyed once for all. The ego, the individuality is gone once for all. So what remains is only the pure consciousness, the divinity that has taken this form for its spiritual ministry. அப்போ அந்த இதில் they are always pure consciousness, even though they were helping people, they were demonstrating so many leelas, they still were established the highest. So when people began to say that he was in coma, I felt terrible. I said, this is so much against the very concept of a Mahatma. They are in communion with the infinite. which is nothing but awareness, consciousness. How can they lose consciousness even while living in the body? Whether they live in the body or without body, they are always that highest awareness. எப்படி இவர் கோமால இருக்கான்னு எப்படி சொல்றாங்க ஜனங்க? கோமாக்கும் இவளுக்கு சம்பந்தமே இல்லை. கோமானாலே அன்கான்ஷியஸ் ஆகுது. அந்த கான்ஷியஸ்னஸ் இல்லாமல் எப்படி இருக்க முடியும்? அது my mind, it went through turbulence. I was just sitting here in this corner and I was looking at him. I said, how can you go into coma? It's okay for ordinary people like this. And then I was crying and suddenly looked up. He raised his hand and called me like this. His eyes were still closed and he was lying down like this. And then he lifted one hand and did like this. He made me catch that. Because I was, bending my head and I was crying because I didn't want people to know. Immediately I rushed. And as soon as I went there and put my hand on the bed and said, Bhagawan, he lifted his hand and pressed my hand to say that he was conscious, that he was not in coma, that he knew every detail that was happening around. Of course he knew. He knew that I knew. All the same, when people began to say, this is a demonstration to all the people that no matter how the body looked, they were not the body, they were always that pure consciousness. Not only consciousness is also grace. Ramana Bhagavan says, God, Guru and grace are one and the same. So when I say Yogi Ramsuratkumar, it is grace. It is Guru. So the grace was also all the time reaching out to people all around. And the form was there, sick with cancer. For all appearances, he was in coma. But he let me know that he never lost his consciousness, except once. When he was suffering from the pain of cancer, somebody gave morphine, a tablet. And then when he came out of it, of course he came out quickly, he said, Devaki, what happened? I said, they gave you this tablet, a painkiller. Devaki, see that they don't give it to me again. That is death. How vulnerable they are. Despite their greatness, they are in the hands of people. What can people do? People also know they can only do what they know. So it's a play of God. So this is how it was. And often he declared that he alone exists. There is nothing else, no one else. Until then it was my father. My father alone exists. There is nothing else, no one else. But the last few months, he kept saying, Devaki, there are people there going round, chanting this beggar's name. Tell them, this beggar alone exists. There is nothing else, no one else. And then I remember when he could still talk, I asked him, why should this happen? You have spent all your life only doing good to the world. So why should this terrible disease come to you? He said, Father has given this suffering for some cosmic balance. It is a sentence for contemplation. So this cosmic balance is maintained by the divine. The minute you think there is only God and there is nothing else, no one else, these things don't matter. But we are still in this world where is this not a reality? Are we sitting together? Am I talking to you and you are listening to me? Have we transcended this state, this realm of Maya? To us, our own hunger is a reality. Our own thirst of the body is a reality. Earning money has to be done. The pain, the killings, everything is a reality as long as you live in this world. And so this cosmic balance is being maintained by the divine for its own reasons. So he said, Father is doing it. That means all the sins that we pour at the feet of the Divine Personality, they eat up the body because they don't have mind, so there is no mental suffering. They are always peaceful, blissful. But the body is just matter like yours and mine. So those sins eat up their body in some way or the other. That's why I say it's crucifixion for every great Mahatma who take up this mission of uplifting a huge body of devotees. So this is what we have to remember. And he also said at one point, this beggar can do much better work without this body. The language they speak so that we understand, His grace continues. This is grace, ever living. He lives on. Now in the hearts of people, the minute we call out His name, He is instantly present and He meets His grace because now He has the body of light and grace. And the minute people call out His name, He is there to help you, guide you, protect you, to make this life more comfortable for us. At the same time, along with the ordinary miracles, the miracle of transformation is also happening. Those of us who chant His name, this miracle of transformation, it's all the other miracles finally lead to this miracle of transformation and our uplifted consciousness. So, he used to say, wherever people talk about this beggar, even two people talk about this beggar, and there my ashram is. That is my ashram, where people talk about this beggar. Where people call out this beggar's name, there my Father is instantly present. So we have to remember that He is just not all the same. For some of us who had lived with Him very closely, all the 24 hours of the day after day after day, month after month after month, year after year after year. Sometimes it takes over like tsunami. But then we also know that He is with us all the time. He is both inside us and outside, all-knowing, all-pervasive, all-powerful, almighty, living in our hearts, living in all His glory, in all His greatness, in all His grace, in His name. So now His teachings, we say prasad. What is prasad? When He ate something and left, the left food was prasad to all of us. He has left teachings that came out of His mouth. So they are the uchishta, they are the prasad. All His teachings are our prasad. how earnest are we to eat them, meaning practice them and assimilate and rise up to His image of us. He saw only God in all. Even the dog that he kept, he used to call it Sai, Sahai, the helper. If anybody said it was Nai, he would get angry, he would get wild with them. He would correct them. No, it is not Nai. It is Sai. The Sahai Father, the one, the helping Father. And he would say it is not D-O-G, it is G-O-D. You people do not know. You see it at D-O-G, but in truth it is G-O-D. My Father. I had seen him share his food with the rat, just like friends would meet in a restaurant and share food across the table. Somebody had brought a carrier and they had to stand for 1 hour to be accepted. So, and finally he said, give me the carrier. And then he opened, and in the top vessel there were some vegetables. He was sitting there in that small veranda. Those of you who have gone there would know. There's a wooden door, and then next to it is a granite step, and then the small veranda. He was sitting there next to the step, and he just put his hand into it and then lifted some of those vegetables and put it there right on the stone step. It was dusty. I was horrified first time when I saw it. And he started to eat. And there was a little rat which kept coming out, and then after seeing us all seated there, it would run back inside. And then again it would peep out, and again it would go in. It was doing this leela for quite some time, and finally it was drawn by the flavor of the food, and then it came slowly, and it began to eat that from that side, and he was eating from this side. They were in perfect harmony. Can you imagine? This is a Brahmadhyani. He was not he had only a smile, and he was eating, relishing the food, and so was the rat. Only I could not relish being what I was then. I was thinking, my God, they say, but if the rats come, and when the leftover of a rat is poisonous, they say, and we are not supposed to take it. And I was thinking all the time, what if he calls me and gives me that portion? And he did. The rat went away at one point, and then he said, we just took that portion. Then he come here. And he dropped it into my hand. But then I knew it was coming from his hand, it was his leftover. So I ate happily. In fact, I was very happy that he singled me out to give that, to show that I am in the rat also. I am everywhere. I am everyone. There is nothing apart from me. All in Father, Father in all. This he was demonstrating from moment to moment to moment. If there were any war clouds in the sky of the world, if that piece of news had come in the paper, he would ask me to find out that piece of news, and he would ask me to fold it and keep it in a way he could see nicely, and then I would keep it next to his ashtray. And then he would start smoking. Looking at that, he would start smoking. And in 2 or 3 days, the news would come that there were negotiations and the clouds had disappeared. There was peace and harmony. I have seen him work at different levels at a time. And there were places where he manifested in his original form. To the knowledge of some people, and to my knowledge, and to the knowledge of some people also, were located, they were spotted him here and there. So these things happen very automatically. A Mahatma, as Ramana Bhagavan says, is a mirror. Is a plain mirror, and whatever goes and stands before, whatever is put before that, that is reflected in all its details perfectly. So many people, Muruga Bhaktas saw Muruga in him, Shiva Bhaktas saw Shiva, had Shiva's darshan, Rama Bhaktas saw Rama, and the Divine Mother's Bhaktas saw Divine Mother in him. So we have to understand and remember his teachings now. Our duty, our responsibility is to treat every teaching of his as his uchishta, as his prasad. And whosoever is practicing any one of his teachings is taking his prasad all the time. And what can the prasad do? It will transform you. All that is base and lowliness will be transformed into something, a finer sensitivity, and will make us transcend this Maya to become one with him. நிறைய இங்கிலீஷ்லேயே பேசிட்டேன். இது பகவானுடைய உச்சிஷ்டம்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. அவர் சாப்பிட்றதெல்லாம் அவர் அவர் ஒரு இலையில சாப்பாடு வச்சுட்டு போயிட்டாருன்னா கொஞ்சம் அதுக்கு அப்படி ஒரு இது வரும். அத்தனை பேர் ஓடி வந்துடுவாங்க அந்த இடத்துக்கு. அது கொஞ்சம் நமக்கு கிடைக்காதா. ஆனால் அவர் வாயிலேருந்து வந்த உபதேசங்கள் எவ்வளோ பெரிய உச்சிஷ்டம் இல்லையா? அதில் ஒரு உபதேசம் எடுத்து வாழ்நாள் முழுக்க நம்ம ப்ராக்டிஸ் பண்ணினோன்னா அவரோட பிரசாதத்தை நம்ம சாப்பிட்டுட்டே இருக்கோம். அதை விட ஒரு வசந்த பிரசாதம் எதுவும் கிடையாது. பகவான் சொல்லியிருக்கார், அவருடைய நாமத்தில் அவர் பூரணமாக இருக்கார். அதனால அந்த நாமத்தை சொல்லிகிட்டே இருங்கோ. எந்த இடத்துல ஒரு 2-3 பேர் சேர்ந்து இந்த பிச்சைக்காரனை பற்றி பேசினா அந்த இடத்துல என்னுடைய ஆசிரமம் இருக்கு. எங்கெல்லாம் இந்த பிச்சைக்காரனோட பேரை சொல்கிறாங்களோ அந்த இடமெல்லாம் என்னுடைய அப்பா ப்ரெசண்ட் ஆகியிருக்கார். என்னுடைய அப்பா அந்த இடத்துல பூரணமாக இருக்கார். இதெல்லாம் நம்ம ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கணும். அவருடைய நாமத்தை பகவான் is so vibrantly alive here. In fact, he said he knows whoever enters his ashram, he knew they are right in his view immediately. Nobody can escape his attention. Outside the ashram, we do not know how he functions because he is that infinite presence. Because I had glimpses of his work, cosmic work at different levels, I know some secret. In fact, he used to say meeting people and blessing them is only a small, very small fraction of this beggar's father's work. That most of this beggar's work is secret. And sometimes he would show his cigarette. He would say, the cigarette is this beggar's secret. And I was thinking that he would not tell other people, but Periyasamy Thuran, Tamil people would have heard about him. His daughter, Sharada, she wrote a letter to me where she said one of her visits, Bhagavan's, he showed the cigarette and said, oh, the cigarette is my father's secret. The cigarette is my secret. So, there are so many subtleties which we cannot see, which we cannot understand in this huge cosmos. You just see the planets, the galaxies, how rhythmically, such beauty and order and rhythm. They don't clash. It's only the egos that clash all the time. Two people in one place, there will be ego clash. But those huge planets and galaxies, they go in their orbit. They don't clash with anything else. There's such order and beauty you see. The whole cosmos is run by the divine. Only to say this doesn't exist. There is no cosmos. Can you see the play, the Leela, with such meticulous detail? It is running the whole show to say finally there is no such thing at all as cosmos, there is no you or me, there is only my Father. And my Father is myself. He used to say, I would say, why do you say this beggar and my Father? Ramana Bhagavan says it's a self. Devaki, Ram Das used the word Ram. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used the word Kali, Ma. And Ramana Bhagavan used the word self. This beggar says Father. It's all the same. We use that language that is easily understood by people. So, the content is the same, the container looks different, and all these great people, Bhagavan used to say, my Father gives one mission to one person, one Mahatma, another mission, another kind of mission to another Mahatma. The differences exist only in the execution of the mission. But in their reality, there is no difference at all. So, we'll have to accept him in his glorious, glowing present form, which is the all-pervasive, all-knowing, all-powerful grace. And his name, he lives in his, the infinite presence is in the name. நினைச்சு பாருங்க, ஒரு நாமம் யோகி ராம்சுரத்குமார் சொன்ன மாத்திரத்தில் you are in contact with the highest power. இந்த காஸ்மாஸ் எடுத்து நடத்துறது எந்த பவரோ அந்த பவர்ல நம்ம டச் ஆயிடும். When you call out his name, he always said, don't think that Yogi Ramsuratkumar is only from here to here, pointing to his head and feet. You cannot confine my Father to this body. This beggar, there is no place where this beggar is not. Annai, he is everywhere. He is very much alive in our heart. You don't have to take any gadget for it. You simply have to say Yogi Ramsuratkumar and he is instantly present and he is responding to you. He is not just being witness consciousness, which he does not participate in our life in a private sense. But the minute you call out the name, he participates. He is your personal God, participating in every detail of your life. And we have to keep his teachings alive by practicing them. And let us always remember him by his name, by remembering his place, by remembering all those anecdotes which are antidotes for the disease of the world. Let us keep chanting his name. For a few minutes, we will chant his name and conclude this. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Bhagawan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki Jai. Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumara. Prasad will be distributed. Please take some.